The September 21st, 7 o'clock County Commission meeting will now come to order. I'm going to call on Mr. Johnson for the invocation.
Good evening, folks. Let's join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity we have to serve you and the opportunity you've given us to serve the people of this county. Father, for that we just offer you thanks. Father, we just pause a moment that you would comfort the Clamrock family, one of our own who's died in the service of this country. We thank you for that young man. We thank you for his family. We pray that your spirit would comfort them in these dark hours. Father, they would draw comfort from the fact that that young man died a noble death in service to others, preservation of liberty. And we ask you to bless them with that knowledge. We ask you to bless us with wisdom this evening that we may make good decisions that will honor you and to benefit the folks of this county. We ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Let us stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call on Mr. Mashman for adjustments to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there is one adjustment to the agenda this evening. You should have placed before you a letter from the State Board of Elections. This has to do with the 2010 one-stop absentee voting sites, and the state has made available to applicants a grant that would assist the counties in setting up those sites. What you have before you is a request from the Director of the Board of Elections to apply for and receive the HAVA grant. And Tracy Jackson will make this presentation at the proper time. That is the adjustment I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, was a particular item number for that adjustment?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's G.
Okay. Appointments before the board tonight is Mr. Darrell Pegram. Is he here? If you would come on up, sir, and you may come to the mic and state your name, if you would, please.
Hello, I'm Darrell Pegram of the Stallion Track Club Incorporated, and my purpose here is to give you some information about what we're about to do on Oxford School Road in Catawba County. The Stallion Track Club Incorporated was formed in 1984. It is an age group track club. We are a nonprofit track club, and we have had over 300 kids to go to college out of our program. There have been a lot of beneficiaries, a lot of kids from this county who have run with me over the years. What we're about to do is that we're about to build a multicultural learning center, a 10,000-seat, 8-lane indoor track arena, and a 30,000-seat outdoor track stadium. Now, the indoor track and field facility will be the largest facility in the United States. We're going to hire anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 employees. We will this project will be finished in 2012. We were awarded a grant from the United States Rural Development. This is why it's on for Catawba County. The reason why I needed to speak with you all is because we were in the need of a letter of support because the jobs that will come about by this project. There will be many of your constituents, a lot of your citizens will be working there. On Oxford School Road, it's approximately 10 minutes from this place that we are now. So that's pretty much it as far as that is concerned. We've been working on this project for about 5 years, and it's a dream of mine, and it's about to be realized. We do expect to break ground in October, and that's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Anyone? So all you're looking for is a letter of support, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Have any questions at all, I will answer.
Do you already have funding in place for the facility?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So you're not asking for any funding at
No,
all?
we do not need any money.
You're a good man, I tell you that.
We don't need any money. Again, we have been awarded a grant from the United States Rural Development, and there are other grants that are coming because of the Jobs Act through the governor's office, and there's a lot of other acts that when you put something together like this and you're going to hire people, because of the unemployment rate. I don't know what the unemployment rate is here, but I know in Catawba County it's around 15%, and I'm sure it's pretty high here as well. So, again, a lot of your citizens will come there. We will pay well. We will have insurance. We're going to do, they'll like it there. It's going to be open 7 days a week. There will be people, well, let me give you an example. In the track event, the average participation rate is about 2,000 patrons. For every 2,000 patrons, this is kids. For every 2,000 kids that you have, you might as well add 5 people, which means they're going to need somewhere to eat, they're going to need somewhere to stay, and by you being about 10 minutes from the facility, we would direct them here, as well as Hickory, because there will be people from all over the state. Now, let's keep in mind that there's only one facility in the state of North Carolina. See, this is the significance of all this, and that is at the University of North Carolina. There's only one other facility in the state of South Carolina, which is at Clemson. There are no indoor facilities in Georgia. There are no indoor facilities in West Virginia, and there's only one in the state of Florida. We have commitments from the conference of the ACC, the Big South, the Southern Conference. We have letters from Coach Weaver from Appalachian State, Coach Thompson from A&T, and the list goes on, and even from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. So this indoor facility is needed. Again, it's going to be open 7 days a week, and there'll be other things outside the track going on there as well. So I could say this, that your hotels will be probably full all the time. Your restaurants will be full all the time. And for tourism, it's going to help you there as well, because we're going to direct them. We're going to send them.
Okay, Mr. Pilgrim, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Could I ask this? Whereabouts on Oxford School Road are you putting the facility?
There's an area off Oxford School Road that's about 321 acres. It's about a mile past the sure tape that's up there. I think it's 3 miles off the interstate. About 3 miles off the interstate. About 321 acres.
Going between Sure Tape and 70, or going the other way?
In between sure tape and 70, yes.
Okay.
Okay. You ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that this board go on record as supporting Mr. Pegram's project.
Okay. Any questions regarding the motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I mean, sir, we'll send a letter. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now go into public hearing. Consideration of market and present use schedule of values relating to tax reappraisal. Mr. Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to go over briefly a short presentation on the schedule of values and how it affects and how is an integral part of the reevaluation process. GS 105-286 requires the general reevaluation of real property at least every 8 years. GS 105-286A3, as you, the local board, so understand, allows commissioners to conduct reevaluations more frequently. In fact, Iredell County has conducted reevaluations in 1984, 92, 95, 99, 2003, 2007, and now 2011. It's getting to be fairly regular. The important thing about this is more frequent reevaluations generally reduce shifts within the tax base and inequities of like properties. Now, what's the purpose of reevaluation? The primary purpose of reevaluation is to equalize the tax value. And by that we mean between real property, personal property, and public service property, as well as within classes of real estate, meaning like houses in North Iredell versus houses in South Iredell. Now, what do I mean by equity? This would kind of help give you an idea, I feel, what we mean by equity. Real property is reappraised, as I just said, every 4 years in this county normally. Personal property, however, as well as motor vehicles and public service properties are just reappraised every year, So they annually reevaluated. Over time, there are shifts in value between real estate classes. For example, a residential property in North Iredell versus South Iredell. North Carolina requires the same tax rate be applied to all properties. So, with real properties being frozen in a revaluation year, the tax burden generally shifts towards personal property. Now, this is a little bit about the process of reevaluation. We will be reappraising for the reval approximately 93,000 parcels. That's approximately how many parcels there are currently in Iredell County. We will stratify the appraisal records into 586 appraisal neighborhoods. In other words, dividing the county out in 586 different neighborhoods. Each appraisal neighborhood has its own unique market characteristics. Normally, most neighborhoods appreciate in value over time. However, in today's market, we see some increasing, some not changing, and some neighborhoods decreasing in value. Now, we're here tonight to talk about the schedule of values. Again, it's required by GS 105-317 of the statutes. The schedules must be reviewed and approved by the Board of County Commissioners before the tax assessor may complete the 2011 reevaluation. It must be, speaking of the schedules, it must be sufficiently detailed to enable the appraisers to adhere to the schedules in appraising real property. Within this schedule, there are numerous valuation tables, ranges, and other directives that we feed into our CAMA system to generate values. The valuation standards are there to ensure uniformity and equity, and rules are there for the same purpose. Notable items in the schedule is there's many tables. If you've looked through it and had a chance to review it, there's many tables and ranges to allow flexibility. In other words, one size don't fit all. And the present use schedule follows the recommendation of the Use Value Advisory Board. The schedules are used to adopt reevaluation, and they do not, or to carry out the reevaluation rather, and they do not change until the next reevaluation. That's what we mean when we say frozen values. The tax office will use the adopted schedules to value all properties from the 2011 year through 2014 year, even if the market changes. What is market value? This is straight from the statutes. Market value is defined under GS 105-283 as the price established in terms of money at which the property would change hands between a willing and financially able buyer and a willing seller, neither being under compulsion to buy or sell, and both having reasonable knowledge of all uses to which the property is adapted and for which it is capable of being used. How do we determine market value? Market value is determined by analyzing sales in the marketplace. These sales are verified by the deeds, the sales questionnaires that we send out, multiple listing services, and contacts we make with seller buyers and others. The schedules of values are applied and adjustments for each individual neighborhood are made. Who will conduct the 2011 reevaluation? The employees of our county tax office who are North Carolina Department of Revenue certified real property appraisers will conduct the reappraisal. I also like to point out that 7 of our staff appraisers are NC Appraisal Board certified. A consultant has been contracted to assist with the appraising of the commercial and industrial properties. What happens after the taxpayers receive their notices? Well, if the taxpayer feels his property is in line with other comparable properties, then no further action will be necessary. If the new assessed value is above or below the market value, the taxpayer has the right to appeal. What's the valid reason for appeal? If the value exceeds or is below market value. Inequitable assessment with comparable properties. Errors on the tax card. What's some invalid reasons? Taxes are too high. I can't pay them. Inability to pay. Services too low. Or amount or percent of change in value. What if the taxpayer disagrees with the reevaluation notice? The taxpayer must fill out the appeal form located at the bottom of the notice and return it to the tax office. A staff appraiser will review this tax record and the information that the taxpayer provides. A new notice will be mailed to the taxpayer. What's the timetable for the reevaluation? Well, of course, September 7th, we submitted the schedules to the board. We advertised it in the paper that we had done so on September the 8th. We're now at the public hearing. On October the 5th, adoption of the final schedules will be made. And then on the following 4 weeks, we will publish in the newspaper that we have adopted the schedule of values and we're about to apply them. And then the public has until November the 4th to appeal these 2 schedules of values. Also, we anticipate mailing of notices of the new values in mid-February 2011. Informal appeal work will begin at that time, and the Board of Equalization and Review will begin hearing appeals to that body in April of 2011. I'd like to thank you, the board, the county manager, and the public and taxpayers for the assistance we have been given so far in this project. Are there any, Mr. Chairman, are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Irvin? Anyone? Well, sir, thank you. Do
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. This is also a public hearing. If you have comments regarding what you have just seen, would like to comment, whether it be publicly or negatively. We will take those comments this time. Mr. Irvin is here. He'll be glad to address any questions you may have. Do I have anyone wishing to speak? Okay, if there's no one wishing to speak,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might, this is one question I had written down. I failed to ask Mr. Irvin previously. I'm sorry. I apologize for not doing. The cap rate now on present use value is unchanged in the new schedule. Is that? I think it's 0.65.
Actually, I did not look back and see what the cap rate was. You talking about in 2007?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I don't think it did, but I actually didn't compare that since obviously we're not looking at that old use value manual. But I think it was the same cap rate.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's the only question I had.
any other questions? Anyone from the audience? If not, I will close this public hearing at this time. Do you need any other action from us, Mr. Irvin, at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Mashman.
Okay, under administrative matters, the first item is a request that the county commissioners approve the list of August refunds and releases. Those were presented to me earlier, and a statement from the tax administrator that the requests are in order and that none of the county commissioners have any involvement in any of their properties. You want to?
Sure, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, any questions regarding the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
This time we have a request from the Solid Waste Department for permission to apply for a grant. David Lambert, the Solid Waste Director, will make that presentation.
Good evening. As Mr. Mashburn said, I'd like to request permission tonight to apply for a grant. It's administered by Mecklenburg County Air Quality Department. It's funded through the American Recovery Act and Diesel Engines Emissions Reduction Act. It's been going on since 2007. It's been utilized by some other solid waste departments, most notably York County last year did the same thing we're requesting. We have a potential to receive up to $150,000 to go towards the purchase of a new compactor for the landfill. And we do have in our budget funds already approved and budgeted for that purpose. So if we receive this grant, it would just, I guess basically it's a bonus. It's something we hadn't counted on, but it's something I found out here a few weeks back. There's no guarantee that we'll receive anything or the amount that we've requested, but it's out there for the asking. So that's what I'm here tonight for, is just to ask permission to apply for this grant.
Any questions of Mr. Lambert?
It's unusual. Mecklenburg is offering. They're usually asking.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve. Any questions regarding the motion?
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Ron Smith, the Assistant County Manager, will make a request from the Planning Department for approval of a Lake Norman Regional Bicycle Plan Task Force Memorandum of Understanding and to appoint a county representative.
Thank you. Back in March of this year, you probably remember that the board adopted the Lake Norman bike route. This was a four-county project that was undertaken as a pilot program for the rest of the state through NCDOT. DOT did adopt the plan. You had voted for endorsing the plan with some changes, but they did end up adopting the plan in June. And as part of that study, there are obviously going to be some implementation strategies. And in order to do that, the COG, who is the lead agency in the facilitation of this study, has requested that a task force be put together. It would meet twice a year to talk about how to push forward the objectives of the plan. In addition to that, there's a memorandum of understanding that I've attached in your package, which generally outlines the role of the county or the county representative on that task force and in this project. There is no money that is needed at this time. Any spending that would come from the county, which I doubt will come directly, we wouldn't have these types of requests, would obviously come back to the board at a later date, and nothing will be decided upon without your approval. So my request tonight is for approval of the Memorandum of Understanding and an individual to be named for the task force. I've suggested an individual from my office. They are looking for someone that has significant knowledge of local and regional planning initiatives and growth in general. But if you choose to go with a member of the board, they're looking for that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions for Mr. Smith?
I wanted to note, because I may end up voting for this, I want to note down under number 7, it's titled Obligations, and it says this MOU does not obligate the parties to future financial commitment to implement the plan or participate in the task force. That spells that out pretty good, and I'm glad they put that in there. On the other hand, it says under number 2, each party, which this board would be one, understands that its commitment to its respective component of the plan has induced other parties to make like commitments. And then it also says in relevant part that based on this understanding, each party commits its best efforts to implement its respective segment of the plan within the limits of its authority. Well, we had the discussion about whether we were funding this thing a while back, and I just didn't want to send any kind of mixed signals. But I mean, the last part kind of reads as pretty plain English. So I guess we're not committing anything, basically.
Yeah, there are no commitments now. Basically, how I envision this taking place is that money would be appropriated through NCDOT. And if for the actual construction of any improvements that take place on the roads, and if you remember, this was going to come from a separate fund than your traditional road improvements. So they would have to allocate money if they have it for any additional changes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I will now entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the letter.
Okay.
Or to approve the letter.
Questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed?
Does that include naming the representative that I mentioned?
At your discretion, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is a request to approval of at least a temporary office space lease agreement with the United States Department of Agriculture or Rural Development. This is what I learned several years ago to be Farmers Home Administration, and over the years it's changed names a couple of times. It's now called Rural Development, and Rural Development did occupy office space out in the County Agriculture Center until a couple of years ago when there was a reorganization, and the personnel at the Rural Development Center were pulled out and were located in other counties. There's now a new area director for rural development, Mr. Warren Smith, and he approached me some time ago about the possibility of locating personnel back in to the Agriculture Center. And He wanted to do that right away, but felt that the process of getting it through the bureaucracy would take a couple of months to do that. So what I told him that I would be willing to propose to the county commissioners was that the board approve a temporary lease arrangement for that space to allow the process time to finalize and make funds available, since mainly those funds are going to have to come out of the federal government's next fiscal year, which begins in October. So that's the recommendation before you at this time. It is anticipated and intended that we would have a lease agreement that would be brought back to you that would be comparable to the lease agreements that others in that building presently have with the county. And this lease arrangement would be only for a temporary basis. The one that you would be approving tonight would only be a temporary basis for no more than 90 days. So that's the recommendation that's been made to you, so it would allow them to go ahead and move people into this right away.
Okay.
So that office wasn't filled up after they left?
No, the office is sitting vacant now, and unless we move them into it, and I can't recall per square foot what we're charging the others right now, but it would be the same per square foot basis that we're charging the others.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to do that.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions regarding that motion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
And, Mr. Chairman, the next item is just a request that you recognize October as the National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and that you pass the resolution tonight to that effect. And you should have a copy of the proposed resolution before you. And, Mr. Chairman, there is no one here to accept that this evening, but it will be made available, and also for the public media if they choose to print that.
Mr. Messman, thank you. Mr. Johnson's going to read that.
Okay. This is a resolution, ladies and gentlemen, recognizing October 2010 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas Congress in 1945 designated the first week in October as National Disability Employment Awareness Week, and whereas Congress in 1988 amended its earlier designation and declared the entire month of October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and whereas the United States Secretary of Labor, Hilda L. Solis, has announced that this year's theme will be Talent Has No Boundaries, Workforce Diversity Includes Workers with Disabilities, and whereas Americans with disabilities provide many needed talents and abilities to our nation's labor pool, and whereas Americans with disabilities are an integral and vital component of our nation's workforce, and whereas Americans with disabilities should be recognized for their job readiness and the many contributions they provide to our community and country. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Iredell County Board of Commissioners calls upon all the people in Iredell County to observe October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Be it further resolved that the Iredell County Board of Commissioners extends appreciation to all Americans with disabilities for their invaluable services and skills that are being provided to the workplace in Iredell County and across the nation. Adopted the 21st day of September 2010, Iredell County Board of Commissioners, Marvin Norman, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
We'll now entertain a motion to adopt that.
Motion to adopt the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Keel.
Next item, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The next item is a request to approve the September 7 minutes of the county commissioners.
But we need to go ahead and vote.
Well, I'm sorry, I thought you did.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Apologize. Thought you'd already
That's okay.
done that.
Motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just won't let
Any
Joe
questions
call.
regarding the minutes? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
And the last item we have on administrative matters is the request for approval to apply for and receive a grant Mr. Tracy Jackson, Deputy County Manager, will make that presentation.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Becky Gallagher, our Elections Director, to request that you accept a grant from the North Carolina Board of Elections in the amount of $23,675. These funds will go towards staffing costs for 3 one-stop voting sites in the November 2010 election. There's also a budget amendment included, and it shows that the cost will be split between part-time salaries and FICA.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Jackson?
Yes. Who selects the sites?
Who selects the sites? Usually they're predetermined. We try to spread them out through the county. Harmony, central area in the county, Statesville usually at the Board of Elections, and then one down in Mooresville.
Okay.
I believe Board of Elections usually does that. Is that not the case? Or okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Jackson? If not,
Motion to approve.
motion to approve. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's all administrative matters.
Okay. Announcement of vacancies occurring on boards and commissions. National Home Advisory Committee, one announcement. Appointments to boards and commissions. Outer Advocacy Academy for Substance Abuse, Awareness and Recovery, one appointment.
Mr. Chairman, nominate Angela Carter.
Angela Carter. Anyone else? Okay. All in favor of Angela Carter, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Personnel Advisory Committee, 3 appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Tina Robertson and Jeff Stutz.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Tina Robinson and Jeff Stutz have been recommended, or are they, if there's no additions, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to nominate Bill Freshwater to the for an appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board.
Okay. I don't have my notes on that, but that's fine.
I think he's been on there a time or two, yeah.
Has he? Okay.
Reminder.
Okay. Bill Freshwater, anyone else? If not, all in favor of Bill Freshwater, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Is there any other unfinished business? Anyone? Public comment period. Do we have anyone wishing to speak tonight? Okay. New business? Any new business? County Manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I have is to kind of update you on where we stand with the construction of the new animal shelter. After a lot of starts and stops on this, we now have the slab for the building is poured, so we should start seeing some block go up in the very near future. And when we have something to show, we'll bring some photographs of that to present. Of course, we would invite you to go by at any time, and usually the superintendent is there on the job, and I'm sure he'd be glad to show you where we are. But progress is being made on that now, and so although we may not make the December deadline that we originally hoped to, I think once that we're started, if the weather holds for us, we won't be far into the new year before we're able to move into the building.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's the only report I've got at this time.
Anyone else? If not, make a motion. We're going to close session under GS 143-318.11, Section A, Item 6, Personnel. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. 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 Those opposed? Frank was just about made it, didn't he? Yeah. Okay.
We're trying to beat 9 o'clock. Trying to beat 9 o'clock. Yeah. Or 8 o'clock.
Or Jean.
Well, Jean, yeah. Yeah, she get into
We
it.
all work for Jean.
All right, now we had, do we have more, anything else? Nothing else? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Frank.
Okay.